found out dead children were on your campus?
I don't know the exact day I found that out.
It was days later?
A day later, maybe?
Okay, let's look at Plaintiff's Exhibit E. Can you read this out loud, please?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Requirement to report death or communicable diseases.
Keep going.
Okay, sorry. Camper death or confirmed cases of waterborne or foodborne diseases such as cholera, dysentery,
Slow down.
Oh, sorry.
Just have to slow. People speed up naturally when they
Okay.
read, but she's still writing down
Okay, got
everything anyone says. So you can read it, just need you to do it slowly.
Yes, ma'am. Camper death or confirmed cases of waterborne or foodborne diseases such as cholera, dysentery, typhoid, salmonellosis, shigellosis, or infectious hepatitis shall be reported to the Department of State Health Services Policy Standards and Quality Assurance Unit within 24 hours of occurrence or confirmation in the case of disease by fax at 512-834-6707 or by email at phscps@dshs.texas.gov.
Thank you. So this requirement says you have to report a camper death within 24 hours of the occurrence. Did you do that?
Not to DSHS, no.
You did not inform dishes that children had died on your campus as is required by this administrative code.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Why?
I did not think of this requirement in the moments that were happening after the flood.
But this is something you should know. This is what governs you as a camp health officer, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done this now?
No, ma'am, I have not.
So you're applying for a new license because you want to reopen camp next summer, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
but you still haven't reported the deaths that occurred the last time you had a license?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Okay, don't you think you should update your dishes application?
I guess so.
You guess so?
I don't know. I'm not the one that's been doing the application, so I don't know all the requirements for the application.
Okay, but you should know the requirements of the administrative code.
Yes.
I pass the witness one.
Thank you.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Mary Liz, have you ever heard of the saying, hindsight's 20/20?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to ask you some questions today, and I want you, when you're answering those questions, to answer them as they were your state of mind at the time. At the time before you knew it was even possible to have a 1,000-year flood in Kerr County, at Camp Mystic, or in Texas, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's go back over some of the times that you had, I guess according to Mr. Beckworth, these unusual events. At 1:30, when the call came in from Dick to Edward to move the canoes, I believe it is, was that an unusual event?
No, ma'am.
Had that occurred before?
Yes, ma'am.
And when has those calls occurred?
Various different years, different times, during the day, during the evening.
There was also a text we talked about at 2:21 that informed you that Edmondson Creek was too high to pass.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you consider that to be an unusual
No.
event?
No.
Why not?
It happens often. Like I said, the dry creek in any kind of rain, even 3 to 5 inches will rise like that out of its banks and be impassable.
And in the past, where it's risen 3 to 5 inches, has there been any type of harm to the campers, any type of injuries to the campers?
No, ma'am.
Any flooding of any nature of what it compared to this time?
No, ma'am.
Another unusual event, I think, was stated that this land bridge, I think we call it just a bridge there that we've been talking about, there was water that went over that, so that was, at some point, you couldn't pass, correct?
Correct.
Is that what you consider an unusual event?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Like I said, when the Edmondson Creek usually rises in a hard rain, it flows into those culverts you've seen and often overflows it, therefore making the bridge impassable.
And then what do you do with these kids up, or these campers up at Senior Hill?
When it happens during camp, they stay in their cabins and wait till it recedes.
And we've heard a lot about this Senior Hill, but did any camper, was any camper lost? Was any camper killed at Senior Hill?
No, ma'am.
Was any camper injured? I know we heard a 911 call at 8:29, but that wasn't a camper, a 59-year-old, right?
That was for Francis. Yes,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I'm sorry, we're talking over each other and I couldn't understand what you said.
That was for Francis, our gatekeeper. Sorry.
Was there not an Eastland up at Senior Hill?
Sorry.
Was there an Eastland up at Senior
Oh.
Hill?
Not that night. What do you
Well,
mean? Elizabeth Eastland, my niece, is on Senior Hill in Shady Shack.
relationship to who?
She is Katie and Britt's daughter.
And before 3 a.m. that morning, did you feel it was necessary to kind of go over there to have an Eastland moved?
No, ma'am.
And we keep calling it hill. How high is this? I mean, a hill insinuates it's a hill, we know that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the water line in Hangover was lower than the water line in my house, for example, so it's higher than my house.
Had you, I don't think we've put this on the record. How long have you been in the capacity as a director?
Since 2020.
How long have you actually been out there, either as a camper or as a counselor or some other capacity?
I started as a camper in Twins One.
Do you recall any time where there has been flooding
Yes.
in Senior Hill?
No, not on Senior Hill.
Okay. Now, we heard the 5:57 a.m. call by a camper from Senior Hill, and I don't know, I'm going to ask you this. Did that camper sound like she was distressed
The first call?
the first call?
No. She said they were safe.
And that she didn't indicate any kind of danger at that point to you?
No, ma'am.
And around what time do you think you yelled over there to say, hey, y'all okay?
It was when I came back from Cypress Lake at dawn, and there's a hill next to my house, and the girls were at Hangover on a porch, and we just communicated back and forth. So whatever time, around 7 a.m., I guess, dawn time.
At that point, did anyone indicate we're scared, we're unsafe, anything of that
No,
nature?
they didn't.
Now, I know you didn't realize that one of the campers, or maybe two of the campers, had a cell phone at the time, right?
Correct, I did not know that.
Do those campers have your number on the cell phone?
The counselor would have had my number, yes.
Have you gone back to see on your cell phone, did anyone call you on your cell phone?
No, I haven't. No one called me on my cell phone.
And I should clarify, no one called you from Senior Hill?
Correct, no one did.
I think from past testimony today, the first indication that you feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there was an unusual situation was when Francis' call came in.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, can you tell me what you saw when you stepped out of your house?
Yes, I went to the front porch and the lights were still on. I turned on the light and I saw Edward's truck driving in front of the office, and I couldn't see the water until lightning would strike. And so I saw him driving campers, and they got out and were going over to Rec Hall. And as the lightning struck, I could see how high the water was. And it was up, like I said, past the flagpole and all the way almost to there's several steps in front of Ranch House. They were above a lot of steps and almost to my doorstep. And then I asked him, do I need to move? because I also saw the back porch and thought the
And it-
water was coming in on both sides on us.
At that point, did you have any kind of communications with Edward?
No, my last text went green, I don't know, and so I figured he was out of range to respond.
What do you mean green?
Well, like iMessage goes blue if you're in Wi-Fi, and so he must have been out of range when I sent it.
And even though you have fiber optics out there
Correct.
for communications, there's still places where you cannot get signals. Is that correct on your cell phone?
Yes, ma'am, you have to be near buildings that have the Wi-Fi. Or the Wi-Fi was down, I don't know.
Let's talk a little bit about the Texas State Department, or Texas Department of State Health dish that we've been calling.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to do an annual inspection by them?
Yes.
What do they have to approve?
They spend a lot of time looking through records in the office, and they look over our emergency procedures, and then they spend time in the infirmaries and the kitchens and looking at different activity areas.
Do they also look at your policies and procedures as it pertains to emergency plans or evacuation?
Yes, ma'am, they have a binder that they look through, that we give them to look through all of the different policies and procedures, and they check them off for us.
And when was the last time you had such an inspection? Prior to July 4th?
July 2nd, 2025.
Did they find any deficiencies as to your emergency evacuations or your emergency instructions or your evacuation plan?
No, I don't think we had any deficiencies.
Had you ever had any deficiency from DISH in either of those two areas?
No, ma'am.
Now, there was a little bit of testimony or a little bit of questioning about deaths and not reporting a child's death. Let me go back to the point where you finally were able to cross over, was it Edmondson Creek that you
Yes.
finally crossed?
Mhm.
Around what time was that?
It was right after I had a conversation with Senior Hill, and then I went over. It was a little bit high. It was out of its bank still, but able for me to pass at that time.
I think that was past the 4 o'clock time, or roughly 4 o'clock time, that the first 911 call went in from one of the campers.
It was after that, yes, ma'am.
And where did you go?
I went up to Rec Hall, and I saw some of my staff up there, and they said that we had people missing. And so I thought, oh no, and I ran down the flats and saw Richard. And I think he had a radio, and he said Edward was alive. And so then I radioed Edward and asked where he was. And he said, I'm walking along the river to see if there are more rolls of trees. And so then I went back to Rec Hall and started doing a head count of all the campers.
What do you mean head count?
Well, I knew I had to figure out who we had and didn't have at that point. And, sorry.
Take your time, it's okay.
The nurses had a list, and so they got it for me of all the cabins. And I asked every cabin to come on the porch of Rec Hall, and I had every camper, the counselors were trying to tell me who they were missing, and I said, no, I want every camper to look at me in the face and tell me their first and last name. And so I went through each cabin, and then they lined up like a campfire. If you've been a camper before, you understand that. They lined up by cabin on the tennis court after they were on the stage of Rec Hall. And then so I had that list, and my sister-in-law came over, and we looked at each other, and we said, next we need to feed them and dry them and get them somewhere else. And so,
Let me stop you there just for 1 minute. So while you're in Rec Hall, and this is after sun has risen at this point, right?
yes, ma'am.
So that has to be an hour or so after we heard the first 911 call.
Yes.
Did you see anyone there from emergency personnel, from the police, from any type of organization like that?
The first person I saw was at 10 a.m., a game warden.
But if someone was there, you would have seen them because you're walking around.
Yes,
Would you
ma'am.
have seen them?
Yes, I would have seen them along the flats as I ran up and down the flats.
So this is around 6 o'clock this is happening?
I want to say more like 7, but I don't know. I wasn't watching my time.
Okay, I interrupted you. So from there, after you did the head count, what did you do?
Then we went, Katie and I organized, we started walking the girls single file. And there was still water on Edmondson Creek, so it was, some of the other workers came and helped us carry them over the creek, some of them. And we walked them over to James Hall, where the other counselors from Cypress Lake had done an incredible job, where they had all these clothes in different sizes organized, and we got the girls clothed in dry clothes. And then Richard was making food at that point for them.
Did you ever go back down to the Guadalupe
Yes,
River cabins?
I went back down at 10 to give the game warden the list of people we were missing.
And that was the first emergency person that you saw there, was at 10 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you then see other emergency personnel there?
I went back to James Hall, and then I also had to go up onto the hill and start communicating with parents. And so I didn't see many until evacuating with helicopters happened.
Did you see the emergency personnel go into the cabins or basically comb the area down there?
No, I never went back over towards the cabins. I was more over at Cypress Lake.
Do you have any understanding as to when the emergency personnel came, what they were doing there?
I don't know. All I know is the game warden I saw, and then the helicopters later at 3 to 4 p.m.
What is your understanding of who showed up? Was DPS there? Was the Texas Rangers there? Eventually, what's your understanding?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to that part.
Do you think with and you've seen it now in the news, all the people that were there and emergency personnel that did arrive, do you think all those law enforcement folks and the Texas Rangers and other people that were there would have found the body of a camper that had died?
I think so, yes.
And certainly if they did, they would have reported it to the proper authorities.
I hope so, yes.
I'm going to switch gears here and talk a little bit about, I guess as Mr. Beckworth calls it, the evidence field.
Yes, ma'am.
Remedial measures, what does that mean to you?
It means you take off sheetrock and maybe porous things in your home that can hold and manifest bacteria in a bad way.
Was that done to your home?
Yes,
Your home being ranch house?
yes.
You eventually, because of the condition it was in, you eventually moved to a rental place, is that correct?
In Kerrville, yes, ma'am.
What was your intention, or what is your intention to move back to ranch house?
I would like to at some point. We had contractors looking at it to determine the timeline and what needed to happen first.
And before the injunction that came down on March 4th, was there some month, whether it's September, October, August, that you thought, okay, we want to be back in the house?
Yes, we wanted to be back before the school year in August.
And how long would it have taken you or the workers, to repair that home so it would be livable again?
We started really working in November, just looking at plans and what I wanted to do, if anything, and so it would have taken, they thought I could have gotten back in June, and we moved quickly, and then, so that would have been maybe 6 months.
You yourself, though, didn't go into that house to make any type of tearing down walls, tearing out carpets.
No,
You weren't involved in any way.
no, they were pulling belongings out, and we were deciding what was salvageable or not, but that was it.
You didn't direct them.
No, ma'am.
There's been a little bit of discussion of tennis courts. I think there was some confusion. Tennis courts, some of which that are lower in the Guadalupe area and river area, and then some that are higher near the Cypress Creek. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, we call those a lake hold tennis courts up high by sleepover.
Were the Lake Hall, or Cypress Creek as I'll call them, tennis courts, damaged in any way?
I don't believe so.
Did they have to be repaired in any way?
No.
So they could be used, right?
Yes, ma'am, they could be used.
And I know there's been discussion, earlier discussion, I think with Edward of a inadvertently, I think Richard may have attached an old activity list. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that, on that activity list, there was activities that would have occurred in Guadalupe River. You recall that?
Yes.
You said, how long have you been at the camp now? 30 years?
Like 34 years.
34 years. In the 34 years you've been at the camp, has those campers at Cypress Creek ever used the Guadalupe River?
The Cypress Lake campers have never used the Guadalupe River right there.
That's all the questions.
All right. Anything else, Attorney?
Yes, ma'am, a moment, please.
Okay.
Just a few questions. Ms. Eastland, so I heard you and your attorney speaking about the 911 calls that the counselors didn't sound distressed.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think it's typical for girls to call 911 just for fun?
I don't know that for sure or not.
Yeah, they wouldn't, right?
I don't think
Why
so.
would they waste a rescuer's time if they didn't have an emergency, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So it sounds to me like you are saying they didn't sound distressed and they didn't call your cell phone. Like the burden was on the children to come find you for answers. Are you blaming the counselors?
Absolutely not. No.
I hope not. Because it was your duty to care for them, wasn't it?
To do what?
It was your duty to care for them, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
And the amount of time that these 9 cabins went without contact from you as the camp health officer is neglectful, isn't it?
It's horrifying, but not neglectful, I would say.
I would say neglectful. You don't agree?
I don't agree it's neglectful.
Did you know that the campers were up there and stranded for so long that they tried to break into the shed?
What's the shed?
The shed at the top of Senior Hill? Did you know they tried to break into it?
I don't know what the shed is.
Sure you do. There is a shed on Senior Hill. They tried to break into it. It was locked, and they were desperate searching for food.
Oh,
That's
shed.
how long they were alone and unattended. Is that not neglect to you?
I don't think it's neglect.
Okay, we must have different definitions of neglect. Let's talk about the nurses that you spoke of that were at rec hall the next morning. You've spoken a lot about what you did when the waters receded. It's vastly different from what you did as the waters were rising, correct?
Correct.
So there were nurses when the waters receded that you found at rec hall, right?
They were at the nurses, but I didn't see the staff at rec hall.
And they are nurses that report to you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And those nurses would have been able-bodied people that could have come to the aid of SEAL if you would have called and woken them up, right?
Maybe so.
Maybe SEAL Steward didn't have enough people. You didn't staff enough people. And you had the ability on your cell phone that you admitted was working. You told me there were people on guard at the infirmary, and you never called them to say, there is an issue, there may be an issue, go check on the flats, we need more bodies. You never made that phone call, did you?
I did not.
Would SEAL Steward still be alive if you had made that phone call?
I don't know.
In your 34 years, you said you've been there for 34 years, right?
I was a camper and a counselor, yes, ma'am.
It is difficult to me to hear and it's been 34 years that you've been there, and you did this little to help save these children that were under your care. You knew the property, you knew the flood lines, you knew access points, your children knew them, and these were first-year campers. You had 34 more years of experience than Seal. She needed your help, and you abandoned her, didn't you?
Yes.
No question.
All right. Ms. Steiner, anything else? No, that's all right. Ms. Eastland, you may return to your seating gallery. Thank you. Any more witnesses?
Your Honor, we have no further witnesses.
Okay. Any witnesses, Mr. Watts or Ms. Steiner?
Your Honor, we'll call Britt Eastland.
Britt Eastland. All right, just stop right there for me. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much. Have a seat in the witness chair. I think you've been here and heard my instructions on testifying. You need to let the lawyers completely finish their question, take a little pause, and then answer the question that they ask you out loud with words. Can you try?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Are you ready, sir?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Eastland, state your name for the court, please.
Britt Eastland.
And Mr. Eastland, what is your occupation? How are you employed?
I work for Camp Mystic, and specifically I'm a director with my wife Katie at Camp Mystic Cypress Lake
And how long have you been a director at Camp Mystic Cypress Lake?
since 2020 when we opened the new camp.
Were you at Camp Mystic Cypress Lake during the time of July 4, July 2, July 3, July 4, 2025?
Yes.
I want to go to that time. I'll come back to visit with you about some other issues relating to the Camp Mystic Cypress Lake operation. But going back to July 2, looking at some of the information that has been provided with regard to weather. What weather apps do you have? What weather information do you utilize at Camp Mystic Cypress Lake?
I use the weather app that comes with the Apple phone, the iPhone, and also I use a NOAA weather app. It has another name in front of it, but I like using both of them. Just kind of have checks and balance. They have, in my opinion, they have one of them, the radar is a little bit better.
I want to go to a time period in July 2nd, during July 2nd, July 3rd time period. You saw earlier that there was information that was posted on some social media relating to weather data, such as weather, flash flood watch, 1 to 3 inches, with a possibility of 5 to 7 inches. Do you remember reading that earlier when this information was presented?
Yes, I do.
How long have you lived in the hill country?
With my 3 brothers, I was born at Camp Mystic, or born in Kerrville, but grew up in Camp Mystic with my brothers. But from 1997 to 2015, I was not at camp. I was in college and in law school, and then I practiced law in San Antonio for 10 years.
And then with regard to living in the hill country, being from that area and going back to the hill country, 1 to 3 inches of rain for a warning to be issued. Have you had that experience of 1 to 3 inches of rain in the hill country?
Yes.
And what has that experience been in the past when that type of forecast is provided to you?
we've gotten many flash flood watches and warnings that would have forecasted with that amount of rain, and often it would be just half an inch, or if you get 3 inches, it's still not flooding.
When the rain forecast is 5 inches, is that a situation that you believe is going to be cataclysmic or horrific, as been described by numerous officials throughout the state of Texas regarding this July 4th flood?
No.
Had you received information that there should be an evacuation because of the expectancy of flooding that would be to the extent, even anywhere near described by Mr. Hastings, of such a magnitude that you would end up in a situation of a 36 or 37-foot rise in the Guadalupe River in a matter of a few hours? Did you receive any kind of warning like that?
No, we did not.
If you or anyone else in the Hill Country, including the thousands of people that were affected by this, if you would have received anything such as this is going to be a flood, not 1 inch, not 3 inches, not 5 inches, 7 inches, it's going to be a flood that is going to exceed anything in the history of the Hill Country in Texas, what would you do? What would you would have done?
Objection, Your Honor. That was so compound. You asked about thousands of other people, and I think there were maybe 7 different questions in there.
It was a little bit hard to follow. You
Okay.
might want to break it up.
Sure, absolutely. Based upon your knowledge, observations, and living in the Hill Country, and from a practical standpoint, getting some information such as that this is going to be not a 1 inch, 3 inch, 5 inch, 7 inch. This is going to be of a description that is going to have rapid rise in the Guadalupe River, such that's never been seen before in the Hill Country. If you would have known or imagined, or someone who had mentioned that to you, what would you do?
You're describing kind of like when they give, I think, like a hurricane warning. If we knew that there was something like this coming our way, if we got any notice that it was unprecedented, unimaginable, like what happened, we would have not had camp. We would have, if we had campers, we would have gotten back home or gotten into higher ground, or just if they hadn't even come to camp yet, we would have not had camp. They would have come.
I want to go back then July 2, 3, and 4. The Texas Division of Emergency Management, TDEM. What's your understanding of what that organization is?
They come in when there's a disaster is one thing they do to help communities do disaster recovery.
There was mention that TDEM was in certain areas. Well, let me ask you this. Who have you talked to anyone from TDEM?
Many
Have you?
times.
Okay, and who are some of the persons you've talked to at TDEM?
Well, right after the flood, and all the chaos, and losing my dad, and losing all these precious girls, we didn't know what to do. And just people started showing up in our community, including at Camp Mystic. And 2 of the agencies that showed up were Texas Department of Emergency Management, headed by Denise Treadwell, and I think the next day she showed up. It was in the next day or 2, and then also a company called Gotham's that was contracted by the governor to oversee everything that happened on our property for disaster recovery.
Who's Nim Kid?
He's the chief of the TDEM.
Did you have communications with Nim Kid from time to time?
I did when 911 wasn't working, when we were trying to get aid to camp, when we knew we had contacts, a U.S. representative that I'm friends with, and he got me in touch with NIMKID, and NIMKID told me that he'd be sending help.
Okay. With regard to Tatum on July 2, July 3, were you made aware by any officials, whether it be city officials, county officials, sheriff's departments, fire departments, local area response and recovery, that Tatum was in the area on July 2 or July 3?
We got no notice. I don't think anyone in our area got any notice that Tina was in the area.
Do you, with regard to NIMKID, have you reviewed and actually been present at hearings where NIMKID has presented the horrific nature of this flooding?
Yes, I've been at the Emergency Operations Center multiple times where they held a very large hearing, but I wasn't present at that hearing, I believe in July, but I saw it online.
Okay. Any disagreement with Tatum's analysis of this catastrophic flood that has never been seen or experienced or even existed in the Hill Country?
No disagreement.
You got any disagreement with the simplification that this was of magnitudes that happened quickly?
No disagreement.
All right, now I'm going to talk about you being in. On July the 3rd, that evening, before that evening was, tell us what the weather was.
Like some previous testimony of some of my family members, at Campus 6 Cypress Lake, we were able to pretty much have our normal activities. We actually, I remember our fishing class did pretty well. The girls were able to fish, and they caught a lot of fish that day. And I do recall that night at the evening activity with the girls, it was tribe election night at Campus 6 Cypress Lake, and our girls were able to go to their tribe hills. If it's raining or if it's lightning, or if there's a chance of rain and lightning while they're up at the tribe hill, we have to be the bad guys and we have to cancel it. And we didn't have to do that. They went to their tribe hills that night.
Okay. This map, Guadalupe campus, where is the Camp Mystic Cypress Lake campus from here? Off this map, right? Where would you go? This road?
Yes, the bottom left corner is where you would drive west.
Okay. And the Cypress Lake camp that's a separate camp from the Guadalupe campus?
That's correct.
And how many girls, counselors, attendees did you have during that time period?
We had approximately 180.
Okay. Who works with you as a director there?
My wife, Katie.
And with regard to that evening of July 3, did you have any concerns that the weather or weather conditions would be cataclysmic and catastrophic in a matter of hours?
Not at all. We were looking at the forecast. We had heard from people there was maybe some rain forecasted, but I got no alerts that anything serious would be coming.
What time did you go to sleep that evening, or did you?
Yes, I went to sleep probably around 11 o'clock.
Okay. Katie, what time did she go to sleep that evening?
Probably the same time.
During the night, what's the next thing that occurred that caused you any concern?
I woke up with the same radio call at 1:45 because that radio channel works where both campuses
after that, what did you do?
Katie and I got out of bed, and we got in her Suburban, and we drove over to our campus at Cypress Lake, to check on, because it was raining very hard, to check on the cabins and the lake and Cypress Creek at our campus.
And just tell me the conditions at Cypress campus around 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m.
Well, at 1:50,
Okay,
it,
go ahead.
it was raining hard, but there was not, it wasn't flooding Cypress Lake, and we drove past all the cabins very slowly. I had a very good flashlight shining at the lake, and you know, the lighting was incredible. It was demonic how bad that storm was, and I just wanted to make sure, like, drove very slowly past a lot of the cabins that came at Cypress Lake. Some are near the cliff's edge, near the lake, and just wanted to make sure that there weren't any counselors flagging us down, that they had an issue in their cabin. And because it wasn't flooding, yeah, we drove back to our house that is on the campus at Cypress Lake side shortly thereafter, maybe after 30 minutes.
Okay. What do you recall happening next?
I remember getting a call from, we were back at the house, and we got a call from our infirmary Band-Aid box at campus at Cypress Lake about 2:45.
And what was the call?
It was a call from the nurses saying that one of the cabins called Nightingale's Nook, which is kind of centrally located at Cypress Lake campus, was getting water inside the bathroom of the cabin, and they were having trouble getting towels down to make sure water wasn't getting in the main cabin.
And what did you do at that point?
So Katie and I went back over in her Suburban, brought a bunch of towels, and went to the cabin. There was some pipe coming out of the closet floor that had electrical cables coming out of it, and water was just kind of slowly coming out of that. We didn't know where it was coming from, like if the entryway was like from the roof or something like that, and coming in the pipe. And so we were able to get towels down and kind of manage it. But that cabin used to be the old infirmary, and so it used to have air conditioning and Wi-Fi and telephone, and so I'm guessing it was just an old electrical pipe in the.
So there wasn't flooding from any water source?
Correct.
Okay.
It wasn't coming off the hill, or obviously it wasn't coming from our creek or our lake. It was just coming through the pipe.
And then after that time period, what occurred?
Well, it was around that time. I mean, it was still raining hard, and I was checking my two weather apps, and you could see this little cell passing through, and it kept saying like that it was going to be, the rain would stop in like 15 minutes. This was around like 2:30, 2:45.
Okay.
And so I remember telling Katie a couple times, like, this is really bad, like, this is a horrible storm, so much lightning, but it looks like it's gonna pass. And it was around that time that we heard the radio calls from Francis Blackwell at our main gatehouse at Kansas Guadalupe River, frantically saying there was water coming in the gatehouse.
Okay, you heard that call on the walkie-talkies, the radios?
Yes, and I heard my brother Edward and my dad immediately telling her what to do.
Okay. Tell us about the weather conditions, the sound. There's been some talk of discussion about using an intercom or speaker system What were the conditions like around 2:45, 3 a.m., to the best of your knowledge?
Incredibly heavy rain, large thunder, and a lot of lightning, very loud.
Again, from your life experience, when that was occurring, had you ever experienced something with such horrific force at around 2:45, 3 a.m.?
You mean a storm
Yes.
that loud and
Yeah.
that much rain?
Right.
No.
What were the indicators about that cell as you looked at the weather?
Again, the radar showed that it was a severe storm, but it was small and that it was about to pass.
Okay. After you get the call, what do you do? And I'm going to refer to the call with Francis over the radio. What happens next?
So I left Katie at Nightingale's Nook cabin that had the water kind of, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough that you got to put towels down so that it didn't get into the sleeping area. So I left her just because I didn't, she was there and I didn't want any of the girls, I wanted them to be able to go back to sleep. And so I got in her Suburban and I just kept patrolling Cypress Lake Camp and that water. I had a really good flashlight that could, has very strong lumens, very strong light. And I can see our Cypress Creek starting to flood.
Okay. Where at Cypress Creek was the flooding starting to occur?
Near the waterfront area,
Okay.
where 3 or 4 cabins are again up high. Those cabins are out of the 500-year floodplain, but still, it's a new camp, and so I wanted to, just the storm wasn't stopping, and so I stayed and just kept patrolling the road that kind of runs along the lake. It's near some of the cabins, just making sure, one, that I think I had my parking lights on. It's not high beams because I didn't want to drive by the cabins and have bright lights going in there and waking them up if the girls were still asleep. I wanted to be going slow enough and also just kind of give them reassurance that somebody was driving by and they could come outside, counselors could come outside waiting down if they were scared or had a question about anything. And I just did that for a good while. And eventually picked up Katie.
Okay. About what time was it that you picked up Kate?
I want to say probably got her out of the cabin 3:15 at the latest of Nightingale's Nook, and she drove around Cypress Lake with me, checking cabins, and because there's just this cell, again, the radar kept saying it was gonna pass, but I was just getting more and more frustrated, and telling Katie this, why isn't the rain stopping? Why, the forecast is showing that it's moving, and it won't stop. It's just like it's sitting over. And so we knew we needed it. So my daughter was at Senior Hill in a cabin called Shady Shack on Senior Hill, but my 2 boys were about to go to a nearby boys camp called Camp Rio Vista, like July 5th or 6th or something. They were scheduled to go, so they were still at home. And their bedroom at our house at Camp Mystic Cypress Lake, their bedroom backs up to Cypress Creek.
Okay.
And so we knew, because it was flooding, let's go check on our boys. And so we started driving back. of a sudden we just saw in the distance the counselor parking lot, which is on high ground, where about 50 counselor cars are parked at Candlestick Guadalupe River. We just saw lights flashing, red and white lights. It looked like they were moving around. You could just see, it was like they were moving. It was just like the strangest thing I've ever seen. And so instead of stopping at our house, we continued to drive towards that campus to see if we could see what was going on.
And what, when you looked at that distance and you saw lights flashing and moving in different directions, what did you ultimately see when you got closer?
The counselor parking lot, that, you know, in 100 years of Candlestick Guadalupe River, this area that's on high ground, all of a sudden it was like a moat, and these staff cars were just floating around. I guess just some of the electronics with new cars, their lights turn on and sirens go off. As we got closer, the cars were honking, and then we saw flashlights coming towards us.
And who are the flashlights coming toward you?
Well, at first we thought they were like maybe the Polish staff or something. We were just like, who's coming towards us? And we were at the edge of the road as close as we could get it. We were near the tennis courts, the Cypress Lake courts. And as the flashlights continued to get closer, we realized it was my mom, Tweety, my sister-in-law, Mary Liz, and her 4 boys, and one of the staff members named Meredith.
Were they walking in the water? What did it look like?
Well, they were walking towards us and in the water, and then finally out of the water as they came towards us.
Okay. What did you do next after they came toward you?
I asked them to get in the car, because again, it was lightning, it was dangerous out there, and they had these huge shocked looks on their faces. They looked scared, and my mom got in the car, but Mary Liz and her boys and Meredith, Mary Liz did not want to get in the car with me.
Okay. What did you do then?
Well, I tried to get Mary Liz in the car, but I could tell they had been in just a situation that was very scary, and I learned pretty quickly that this Cypress Creek was backing up to Guadalupe River, converging, and it was just starting to back up towards our camp. And so I made sure she didn't want to get in with us. She told me she wanted to go to higher ground at James Hall, and she didn't want to go to my house, which was near the creek. And so I drove my mom immediately to my house with Katie, and we got her a blanket, and she was concerned. She hadn't seen my dad in a while, and we hadn't heard from him. And I went outside the back porch that faces the creek, and I could see that my house was about to flood if it got maybe a couple more inches in height if the creek did. So I yelled at Katie and said, "Hey, get our boys out of their bedrooms and get them into the living room."
And at Cypress Lake, what did you do after you got out of the house?
Shortly thereafter, we had 2 more staff members that were in the sleepover house come in and came into our house, and we got them blankets and tried to get them dry clothes. And with everyone in my house being safe, I left Katie with them, and I went back to Candlestick Cypress Lake to continue to check on that camp.
And with regard to the Cypress Lake camp, were any of the cabins flooded? Was any portion of the camp flooded? And if so, tell us what they were and what wasn't.
No, fortunately the water got maybe 30 feet below the nearest cabin. It was still 30 feet below. I mean, that's still very high from where the water level really is, but I never had to evacuate any of the cabins because, again, the lightning storm at that time, I thought that it was not safe to pull them out, and they didn't need to be pulled out and try to go to James Hall because I thought it was more likely they get struck by lightning lost contact with my dad and my brother. We didn't hear them anymore. And it still just, it wasn't even in my imagination that anything to the level of what happened could have happened over at that campus. And so just the rest of the morning, it was checking on, I think I checked on Mary Liz and her boys, and they had moved from James Hall over to up top cabin, like she had mentioned. And I think we got them some sleeping bags and pillows, and just checking on the girls at Cypress Lake. And
Tell us about the girls at Cypress Lake. Did they stay in their cabins
Yes.
at all times? Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you had mentioned the issues with the lightning, thunder, the heavy rain. They stayed in place.
yes,
And then, was there a time at Cypress Lake Camp when the campers were then taken to another area or were taken out of their cabins? And if so, tell us about that.
they stayed in their cabins most of the morning. We
Okay.
brought breakfast to them. That way the Guadalupe River girls that Mary Liz talked about when they came over to our camp, Cypress Lake Camp, they were in James Hall, and we kept the Cypress Lake campers in their cabin for, I believe, breakfast and lunch. And we just kept them sheltered. They didn't know anything had happened.
Okay. What did you do then? Let's fast forward into the Guadalupe campus area. When did you go to the Guadalupe campus?
At first light, Katie, I think, had already gone over to help Mary Liz at Rec Hall, at Guadalupe River Camp. And I can't remember why, but my 16-year-old son, he left in the truck with me, in my truck. I think our plan was to go maybe talk to the big three. I think Katie had told me to, because she was at Guadalupe River Camp, helping Mary Liz and everybody there, that I needed to assist the big three at our camp with staying in their cabins for breakfast and stuff like that. So I'm backing out of the driveway. I think it was about close to 7:15 in the morning, and that's when I saw Glenn Yankee walking down the road towards our camp.
Okay. What happened next?
I stopped my truck to talk to him, and I could tell that he was very distressed. And he said that we need to call search and rescue. And at that time, we had no power, cell service, Wi-Fi. And so I told him to get in my truck, because I think he was like going to walk up towards James Hall and the hill to maybe make a 911 call himself. So instead, I got him in the truck with me and my son Charlie, and we drove up past James Hall, past our horse stables, past a gate up to a high spot where I believe I made my first 911 call asking for search and rescue about 7:22 or so.
Okay. And then after that, what did you do, Brett?
I went back down. I think I dropped Charlie back off at the house so he could be with my mom, and they were at my house. And I believe Glenn and I went over to Guadalupe River Camp.
Charlie, your son?
I think Charlie stayed at my house, dropped him off, and then
Okay.
Glenn and I maybe went over to Guadalupe River Camp, and in hopes of help would maybe start coming and see if we could help over there.
When you get over to the Guadalupe River camp, can you describe what it looked like?
It was like a war zone. It was debris everywhere, fallen trees down, cypress trees, pecan trees. There was things in the road. I remember passing the girls that Katie and Mary Liz were bringing, the girls from Rec Hall that survived from the flats. They were walking past me and towards our camp as I was going over to Guadalupe River Camp. The counselor parking lot cars stacked on top of each other, sometimes not just one car on top of another one, it was maybe a third car on top of, at the top, and just, they were just all over the place, turned up on their sides. Some of the cars from the council parking lot ended up on the other side of Bubblegum Creek, near the flagpole, near the office. And, yeah, we went over there, and started looking through cabins.
When is the first time that you or to your knowledge, anyone else contacted by any officials, government officials relating to rescue or recovery?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, when is the first time that you, or to your knowledge, anybody at Camp Mystic, Guadalupe, had any contact with any government official for rescue or recovery?
It was frustrating because no one was coming to help us, and we knew we were missing people. And so I made a second call sometime after 9 o'clock in the morning, back up to the same spot, came back down, and again, I had to get in touch with the kid sometime, I feel like after 10 or 9:50, it's all a blur, but it was still, I feel like it was not till sometime after 10 a.m. that some game wardens came by helicopter. I think they may have airlifted Francis Blackwell off the golf course from Senior Hill, and then some set up outside of Ranch House, Mary was in Edward, with a drone and a couple guys. I think there were about 3 game wardens that started doing things.
About what time was that you saw game warden or officials physically on the property?
I think sometime between 10 a.m. and 10:30 in the morning.
Okay. What happened after that?
Well, I remember getting actually pretty frustrated with them. I know they were good guys. They were just doing what they were trained to do, but I was telling, I think they were like, you know, their training told them to like get everybody from Guad, you know, get everybody to one safe spot. So they started taking some of our workers, trying to get them across the creek, Bubblegum Creek, over to Cypress Lake Camp. And I said, no, the girls, the people that were missing, are on the other side of the dam. Like, you guys got to go down there. These people you're trying to evacuate, there's no point in doing that. They're safe. They're on high ground. Please, y'all start going below the dam, below Bug House, and please start searching for the girls we've lost.
And did they do that?
I think eventually they did that, but yeah, but again, I don't blame them. I was just frustrated because
Sure.
they didn't know the area, they didn't have a map, they were just doing what they were trained to do.
Tell us what happens after that.
It's all such a blur. I remember getting a lot of our guys from Mexico, they're wonderful men, they're seasonal workers, to start making sure that we didn't have any people in cabins. And so we started, it was just a wreck going into the Guadalupe River cabins. It was just beds and trunks piled up on top of each other, so much mud and debris. It was a war zone. I just couldn't believe how far these cabins are from the water. 100 years of this camp, and it filled up like 8 feet of water in there. And we knew we had people missing, and so we knew we had to start pulling things out of the cabin and checking cabin by cabin until more help arrived. And so that's what we did.
When did help arrive specifically? When did the Texas Division of Emergency Management, that we refer to as TEDM, when did they come to Camp Mystic?
I just remember it wasn't until 4 o'clock that we were grateful for it.
Sure.
It was raining. It started raining again, and a gentle flood again. that slowed things down, and the creek went back up, and so, I mean, I understand it's not a safe time to bring helicopters, but helicopters didn't arrive until sometime around 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon, and Guadalupe River campers were able to start being evacuated around 4 p.m. On July 4th.
Now, when Tatum comes to the site, you indicated with Tatum, what happened based on what you observed being at the camp? What happens with, for example, taking over or taking control?
So are you jumping forward to like the next day after we got all the girls evacuated?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it could have been as early as July 5th that Denise Treadwell, she's a wonderful person, came with her team from Tatum, and also another wonderful person named Jordan Hale, her company, Gotham's, was contracted by the governor's office, and we just, starting as early as July 5th or 6th, I feel like we just started having as many as 100 volunteers a day just trying to show up to help, and so they managed that.
And who was coordinating those volunteers?
I feel like from talking with Denise and Jordan, it was the two of them initially, and working with a lot of, top volunteer companies that were coming out.
Who was directing the volunteers on what work to do, how to do it, the remedial issues that were being done?
Tatum with Gotham's.
Okay. In addition to Tatum, in addition to the workers, volunteer groups, were some of them, to your knowledge, vetted by Tatum? In other words, authorized to do certain work?
Yes.
And name some of those vetted volunteers by Texas Division of Emergency Management who were authorized to come on the property and do the remediation, do the cleanup, and do what these professionals do.
Some of them were skilled and unskilled workers from Samaritan's Purse and Team Rubicon. And there were also just smaller level but skilled contractors from our community and from outside the community that just wanted to come help where they could. And so they were vetted by Tatum, because some people were not coming with good intentions. They were coming either just because they were curious, or there were media people that were trying to come in, and they were, I was just thankful that that organization was there to help us.
What about the Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS?
Yes, they came right away.
There's been an allegation, this filed by the Stewart family's attorneys over here, that the Eastland family was in control of that property from July 4th, 2025 forward. Is that a true statement, or is that an untrue statement?
No, that's an untrue statement. We were displaced from our homes. Katie and my home was the only one that didn't flood. Owner, director, staff house that didn't flood. No one had a place to live. There was no water. There was no electricity for over a week. And my dad had passed, and we lost all these precious girls. And we were a wreck. We didn't know what to do. And there were all these people that came and said, "Hey, we know what to do during a disaster, a natural disaster." And we had a lot of really close friends. Some of them are here today. That came and were directed by Tatum officials to continue coordinating all these helpers.
In addition to the Tatum officials and the contractors vetted by Tatum after July the 4th, I want to ask you, was FEMA out there?
Yes, I believe they were as well.
What about the U.S. Geological Survey? Did that group show up?
Yes, they did also.
And based on your observation of what you saw, did you observe them, for example, taking photographs?
Yes, I think a lot of those officials were taking a lot of photographs.
The U.S. Geological Survey, on their website, is that data, to the best of your knowledge, available for these lawyers to look at for water heights, water levels?
Yes, to my knowledge, yes.
Are you,
It-
I need you to get to a breaking point.
Okay. Judge, this will be a good time.
Okay,
All right.
perfect, wonderful. We will return at 3:30.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
You ready?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
Your Honor.
you may resume.
Thank you. Mr. Eastland, before we took a break, we were talking about the number of government officials, persons who were out there at the scene. Let's talk about FEMA. Let's talk about U.S. Geological Survey. Let's talk about governmental officials that were out there. Did you observe drones from time to time?
Yes.
And do you know if those drones were being done by government officials at any point?
Yes, I believe they were authorized officials.
Photos. You saw FEMA, government officials, others out there taking photographs and going cabin to cabin?
Yes.
When those photographs were taken right after, sometime shortly after July the 4th, were there photographs taken inside and outside of the cabins
Yes.
and around the areas for documentation of pictures of what the scene looked like shortly after this incident?
Yes, they were.
Okay. During this first week of July 4th through July 9th or 10th, when Tatum was there, when Tatum had direction and control of the remediation and the recovery with these groups, were you out there from time to time as well? Just tell me what you were doing during this time period.
We were there from time to time. We tried to go to as many funerals as we were allowed to go to, and we were trying to get some of my family their houses, trying to figure out where they could live, and we were just continuing to work with search and rescue and the EOC, whatever they needed to from us at Mystic.
Did you communicate with NIM Kid directly during the first couple of weeks of July the 4th area after that?
I did a little bit by text. I had more conversations with Captain John Miller with the EOC.
Okay. And who is Captain John Miller?
He is a DPS officer. As far as I know, he's a war hero, a former Green Beret, and he's chief of the search and rescue operations at the Emergency Operations Center in Kerrville.
Okay. What do you understand was his role as he was out there during this time?
His role was to try to find everybody that was missing from this horrible flood.
Okay. During after a couple of weeks, was there a time that you, on behalf of Camp Mystic, received what has been shown by Mr. Beckworth as a letter, not from Mr. Beckworth, but from another attorney, dated July the 11th?
Yes, a notice to preserve evidence letter?
Yeah.
Yes.
About when did you receive that letter?
I think I received it the same day that I sent it to our attorneys,
And what day was that?
July 21st.
Okay. On July, so from July the 4th through July 21st, with all of these groups that were there, with drones, photographs, documentation, Tatum, FEMA, U.S. Geological Surveys, game wardens, DPS, and others, during that period of time, do you know, if you know, whether Mr. Beckworth or any of his representatives on behalf of the Stewart family went to the scene to document or investigate, to your knowledge?
Objection.
Yeah, the question is, do you know whether Mr. Beckworth or any attorney on behalf of the Stewart family went to the scene? Is that the question?
Yes. Yeah. In other words, Judge, during this time period, was there any legal representative of the Stewart family that you're aware that went to the scene during July the 4th through July 20th, 21st.
What's the objection?
Rephrase it.
Well, a person is, were they acting in a legal capacity?
I'm
at the
over
time?
here.
Okay, what? Yeah.
I know, I'm telling him too. You
Yes.
don't need to turn around and face the back, because the lawyers don't talk to each other in the middle of a hearing. They talk to me
Okay.
or the witness.
I'll withdraw the objection now that I've heard exactly.
Okay,
We'll
thank
see
you.
where it goes. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
No, I believe no one from Mr. Beckworth's office came during that time period. There was only one attorney that I know of that came near the property that was flying a drone, I believe, from the Lanier firm.
Can we check his microphone, Your Honor? I don't know
Is the
if
green
it's...
light on? On the microphone,
No.
down at the bottom, can you click it, please? I don't know how they keep getting turned off, but nobody turn any microphones off. Please, just leave them on 100% of the time. All right.
Now, I want to pull up that letter. Let's go to plaintiff's number 5, it's defense 224.
This is already admitted as a plaintiff's exhibit,
It
is
is,
that right?
it is, Your Honor.
Plaintiff's, what was it?
It's plaintiff's 5.
Which matter, sorry?
Okay. And while we're pulling that up, I want to follow up with, during this period of time, to the best of your knowledge, were you involved directly with any type of cleanup that was going on?
No.
Okay. And who would have been doing that during these weeks leading up to the receipt of this correspondence?
It would have been a friend of mine named Ryan Lane, who took over security for us. He's a former Green Beret, just happened to be off duty for a short period of time. He worked together with Gotham's and Tito.
Okay. Now, going to this request for preservation of evidence, I want to begin with what is requested. Let's skip down to, scroll down a little bit, please. Number 1, all incident reports or photographs, video footage, surveillance, or cell phones. To the best of your knowledge, what has not been destroyed? Has there been an effort made to preserve that information? To the best of
Yes.
your- Emails, texts, voicemails. Is that related to a building or a structure?
Correct, it's not.
Okay. Next, documents, third-party contractors, information, is that related to a physical structure?
It's not.
All right. I'm going to skip through these: personnel files, insurance communications, electronic data, incident report, camper rosters, photos, drones, staff schedules, emergency response communications, emails. Go to the bottom. Data, written or electronic correspondence, communications concerning permits, documentation, policies, riders, 18, claims, file, documents. Okay? Is that the letter that was received?
It is.
I want to pull up the next correspondence. The next correspondence will, I believe it is. Before Your Honor, the next one. Here's a response to Mr. Ferguson. Right there, first paragraph. As you are aware, many structures were significantly flooded and cleanup continues on those structures. We are continuing to locate materials and are attempting to recover documents and data that has been damaged or destroyed by the flood. From what you understand of the documentation that was not lost or destroyed in the flood, have attempts been made to secure what is available?
They have.
Okay. In addition to that, there have been local, state, and federal personnel at Camp Mystic who've inspected and photographed the area. I'm in the process of collecting that information as well, and then I would ask that you, as to the lawyer, direct those inquiries to proper authorities. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I understand that you're requesting to inspect the area at some point. Officials and others have inspected the area, and information will become available through those agencies in the future, in the near future. Additionally, if you want to schedule a time to go to the area, please let me know, and we can work on accommodations for that visit. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, let me take that down. With regard to you, Mr. Eastland, and the Eastland family, was there ever a time that you did not allow some family member, some government official, or some lawyers to come out to the scene if they desired to do so?
We always allow access.
Was there ever a time where you believe that anybody from the Eastland family told Mr. Beckworth, his legal team, any lawyers associated with his legal team, that they could not come out as early as August 1, when that letter was written, through today?
We've been available to talk to anybody that wants to talk to us about the facts of what happened. But we've been respectful that, it's hard for a lot of people, and we've been available, we've made Camp Mystic available for them to come out anytime they want.
Okay. To your knowledge, did any representatives or any members of the Stewart family come to Camp Mystic at any time?
Yes.
All right. Now I want to fast forward. Well, before we do that, let's talk about the buildings and the structures that are there. Have any of the cabins been torn down or destroyed?
No.
Have any of the cabins?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna need you to take your chair down when you're not showing an exhibit. I don't remember your name, sir.
Paco Casas.
Casas?
Casas.
Casas. Thank you, Mr. Casas. I am supposed to have controls to do that, but I don't.
No
So I need you to pay attention, okay?
Will do.
Thank you.
Mr. Eastland, with regard to persons coming out, we're talking about that. I want to visit with you about the buildings. There was some mention that there might have been some structure or support that was placed in some of the cabins. What is that for?
I believe there was a photograph of tumbling two, and within the first days after the flood, law enforcement and emergency officials that were out there did not want anyone to go inside that cabin because it appeared to be structurally unsafe, and they were afraid they could fall on someone going in there. So I believe Samaritan's Purse or someone under the direction of Tatum officials were allowed to go, just put better support in there.
Was there documentation, for example, the stairwell? Was there documentation, photographs taken of that stairwell area near the commissary before it was repaired?
Yes.
Okay, and what, can you tell us what the stairwell condition was after this horrific flooding with the waves and currents that we saw? What happened to that stairwell afterward?
Yes, I believe Craig House and some of the guys rescued some of the Polish girls down from the second story of Polar Palace, which is the second floor of the commissary, that they used a ladder to get them out. And so I guess it was obvious to some people right away that stairwell was unsafe for anybody to use.
Why would you repair or replace a stairwell?
There were still items inside there, and I believe, again, the hundreds of people that were coming, even just to Camp Mystic in the weeks after the flood, skilled and unskilled laborers were looking for things to do, and I believe it was someone from Team Rubicon or Samaritan's Purse that asked Tatum or some of the officials that were in charge of the site if they could repair that. And
Why is that a good idea to fix a stairwell that people don't want to get on because it's been through what it's been through?
it'd be unsafe. It could fall on somebody, or it could crash if someone was going to walk on it to go upstairs.
Let's talk about the office that Mr. Beckworth was visiting with someone about earlier. Okay,
When you
Let's
walk
talk-
away, you're soft-spoken, and so she can't hear you.
we'll do it. With regard to the office that Mr. Beckworth was talking about, has that office been demolished or torn down?
No, it hasn't.
What happened with the office and the cabins and the structures with regard to remediation of what Tatum did and the volunteers did? What basic things are done?
Just like all the cabins that had mud and debris in, and they were worried about bacteria and mold, those were remediated, again, by no direction from any of my family, just from officials that have experience in natural disasters. And we were grateful that that was one thing that we could be taken off our plate. I mean, we had already talked as a family, if God willing, we're able to rebuild Guadalupe River Camp, we would never use those cabins as residences, even though we knew they are not in the 100-year floodplain. We just owed it to the parents, now that we know what that river can do, to never use them as residences. So we knew a lot of them that could be torn down someday, but we figured if people were coming to volunteer their labor under the direction of these officials for remediation, it's for the health and safety of the area, we would allow them to decide what to do with the buildings someday.
Right, and with the office, remediation, removal of insulation,
Correct.
removal of drywall,
Yes.
and then after the removal of that drywall, removal of electrical outlets or removal of certain things that could cause an injury or could be a problem when electricity is reestablished. Would that be a good idea to remediate that too?
That sounds reasonable to me.
And then with regard to the office, drywall was put back in similar condition,
Yes.
insulation placed back that was remediated by
Yes.
Tatum and the contractors, and wiring put back in there?
That's correct.
Okay. With regard to the bridge, after the rush of that water and the heavy flow that's been described as 15, 17, excess of 20 miles per hour, and the billions of gallons of water that flowed through that area, tell us what the condition of that concrete bridge was after this incident.
It was very unsafe. There was a large crack all across the bridge that made it barely passable on one side.
And how many months was it later that a repair was done to that bridgeway?
I don't recall exactly. I think maybe sometime in October or November.
Would it be a good idea to fix a cracked bridge for safety reasons with people coming across or needing to get in and out for ingress and egress? Would that be a safe idea?
Yes.
Was it documented after the flood with regard to pictures, with regard to documentation of photos about the bridge?
Yes, there's photos taken before showing all the damage and the cracks and how unsafe it was. And there's also pictures taken of the process and afterwards.
Do you agree with regard to the bridge that was repaired? Was there anything substantially done different to the bridge, to your knowledge?
No, it was put back in basically the same way, maybe a little bit more structurally sound, but the culverts weren't changed or anything like that.
You heard this commentary about flooding at Camp Mystic and that it had before at Camp Mystic. Had it ever flooded, to your knowledge, in the cabins that have existed there?
Nowhere near those cabins.
Okay. I'm going to come back to that in just a moment, but let's keep moving forward here with this claim. Was there a time, Mr. Eastland, that at some point you had communication with a person by the name of Blair Townsend?
Yes, I reached out to her.
Okay. Let's pull up D47. I'll represent to you, you see the names Bradley Beckworth, Christina Yarnell, Blair Townsend. You see that name?
Yes,
Okay. When you were here on March the 4th, during the court's hearing, was Ms. Townsend in the courtroom?
yes, she was.
And was Ms. Townsend sitting at council table as a representative, as attorneys for the plaintiffs, based on that information?
Yes, she was.
Let's move to September. I want to go back now to September, September 10, sometime in that time frame. Let's pull up 43. All right, first we'll take a look at, okay? Do you recall getting or exchanging text messages with Ms. Townsend on or about, let me begin, Tuesday, September the 9th?
Yes, I do.
Okay. who's texting at the top in blue?
That is me,
Okay.
texting Ms. Townsend.
What'd you tell Ms. Townsend?
Do you want me to read it or just say
Yeah.
it in my words?
Yeah.
Blair, this is Brittany Slyn. Chapin gave me your number and said that you were inquiring about Will and Cece possibly coming out to camp on Thursday.
Slow down.
They are welcome anytime. Just give me a heads up on the approximate time so that I can let the security officer know to let them in, no problem. If they want to meet with any of us, we can try to make arrangements for that as well. Or if they want their privacy and to be left alone and just walk around camp, we will respect that as well.
The response is, "Hi Britt, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm confirming some details and we'll get back to you ASAP." Did I read that correctly?
That's correct.
Let's go to the next one. September 10th. Blair Townsend. "Hi Britt, do you have any availability this afternoon to discuss logistics? Thanks." "Hi Britt, hoping to connect on September the 10th at 3:38 p.m. Thanks." What'd you tell her?
Hi Blair, I'm in a meeting. I should be able to call you sometime after 5, if that is okay.
She says, "Yes, Britt, yes, that would be great, thank you. If we could talk before 5:20, that would be lovely." Wednesday, September 10th, what's your response?
Sorry, the meeting got out late. Are you okay to talk now? Whatever you guys need, hope you can make it to camp tomorrow.
Let's go to the next one. 8:42 p.m. "Hi Britt, thanks, and I'm sorry we couldn't connect. We plan to try and
You
make..."
also have to read slower.
"Hi Britt, thanks, and I'm sorry we couldn't connect. We plan on trying to make the morning briefing, so we should be in the area early. I would still like to connect in the morning if possible. I think there is a mix of Will needing alone time at camp, but also possibly of talking to Edward, but I'm still figuring that out at this end. Part of the reason I think a conversation would be helpful." What was your response to that?
Blair, Edward will be at camp as early as 8:30. He is helping my mom with something at 9:30, but that should only take about an hour. So he should be available after 10:30 to meet with you and Will. I will send you his contact so you can connect with him. Thanks so much. And then I sent Edward's mobile number to her.
Next one. "Hi Britt and Edward. This appears to be now a text message from Ms. Townsend to both you and Edward, correct?"
That's correct. It appears to be the next day after she came to camp.
Okay. So September 11th, and we'll come back to September, we'll come.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's maybe before she's coming.
Okay, so we'll come forward chronologically. "Hi Britt and Edward, it's Blair. Just wanted to coordinate in a text with both of you and let you know of tentative game plan if it works for y'all. Will and I are finishing breakfast in Kerrville right now and would like to head your way. We would get there around 11:30ish and would like to walk the property alone and undisturbed. To the extent there is capacity after our walk, I would text Edward and meet at the offices or wherever you suggest. Does that work?" What was your response?
That works fine, Blair. Whatever you need, glad you and Will are able to come out.
"Great, thank you." And then Edward says, "Works for me, I'll be available, thank you, Blair." Next one. September 11, 5:31 p.m. Blair Townsend. "Hi Britt and Edward, my phone ran out of battery but wanted to let y'all know that we had left. Thank you for the access and time, and please thank Craig for giving me a tour and Betsy for getting me Seal's schedule and table assignment. Who's Craig? Who's Craig?
Craig is Craig Aldhouse. He's been with us at Mystic for, he and his wife Betsy, since about the year 2000, so about a little over 25 years working at Mystic. He's in charge of the operations and facilities and managing personnel.
Then after that, what did you say?
Thank you, Blair. We will for sure pass on the message. Safe travels home. Please reach out again for anything you need. You're always welcome. God bless.
All right. Now, this is back in September 11, 2025, correct?
That's correct.
And Ms. Townsend came out to the facility based on the information on the text messages for 11:30-ish to 5-ish or after 5-ish.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Mr. Beckworth was here saying, I wrote it down several times where he mentioned, when I was there in December of 2025, when I went out there in December of 2025, isn't it true that Mr. Beckworth's legal team, as signed off by the pleading, have been there at least, as we know from September 11, have been there since September?
That's correct.
Do you know, are you aware of whether Ms. Townsend brought any expert, a hydrologist, a surveyor, a photographer, a drone, someone to document any area from an expert standpoint?
I don't believe she did.
Same question with Mr. Beckworth as we fast forward into December. Are you aware that Mr. Beckworth brought any expert with him as alleged in his pleadings that inspections need to be completed? So I'll ask about experts. Do you know if he brought any experts with him in December? I represent to you, came out there twice.
I don't believe you brought any experts.
Before this filing was made at the court in February 6th, I believe. Are you aware of whether Mr. Beckworth and his any of his experts or any of his legal team came out to Camp Mystic before filing this temporary restraining order and application?
You mean after he came out in December?
Yes.
I don't believe he's been out since December.
Going forward to March of this, March the 4th, when we had our first hearing. Were you aware that Mr. Beckworth or anybody from his legal team went back out there with any experts before having these hearings to do any work such as photographing, documenting, getting additional information as needed?
I believe it's been 68 days since he filed that motion, and I don't think he's come out.
Did you ever, as I believe in some of his filings, denying the opportunity to inspect the property? Mr. Eastland, did you ever deny Blair Townsend or Mr. Beckworth or any representative on behalf of the steward or any expert in their family the opportunity to come out there and do whatever work they believed that they needed to do?
No, we did not.
Oh, you're familiar with, Mr. Beckworth was saying, moving his hands, saying unclean hands by the steward family. You remember when he was making that comment?
Yes.
You're not suggesting to the court that the stewards had unclean hands in failing to get out to the site with any experts when they've been given the opportunity since we know at least September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and even through March.
Not at all.
Okay. Want to clear up a couple of items. There was a question of your brother Edward about the camp and the reopening of Cypress Lake Camp. I need to ask your attention about that for just a moment, okay?
Okay.
Tell us, with regard to the Cypress Lake Camp, are you and Katie the directors of that camp?
That's correct.
And you've been the directors since how long?
Since we opened in 2020.
And after opening in 2020, have you, your wife, the camp, Mystic Cypress Lake, experienced anything anywhere near what this event was on July the 4th, 2024?
No, we have not.
I understand that Camp Mystic Cypress Lake, no flooding in any of the cabins?
That's correct.
All right. Let's move forward, fast forward then to Cypress Lake and what is being done for camp. Is it any intention that Camp Mystic Guadalupe campus is opening this year?
No, we are not opening in 2026.
And with regard to 2026, what is requested to be open for campers, for Camp Mystic?
It's not been an easy decision for our family at all, but we've been praying about it, and we've heard from hundreds of Mystic families and Mystic alumni that it would be healing, and so we've decided that this was a campus that did not have any flood damage, that we would try to make a very positive and healthy experience and safe experience for what looks to be as many as 825 enrolled families.
Okay. Since this catastrophic flooding in July 4, 2025, tell me what you've done on behalf of Camp Mystic and Camp Mystic Cypress Lake regarding sirens, regarding safety, regarding getting with engineers and getting with politicians and government agents and agencies to have a warning system that is going to be around for a while and would have given us a warning with this catastrophic flooding. What have you done?
Yes, we've not only tried to comply with the new legislation, but try to go above and beyond to give confidence to our parents that are entrusting their daughters with us. And now that we know a flood of this magnitude can do, everybody in this area has come together in the Hill Country community, and we have almost installed as many as 100 River Century Company flood alarm systems.
What are those?
They are reactive flood alarm systems that take the human element out of it. They work in real time, so a person doesn't have to be awake for them to go off, and they are placed in locations on people's property to give them a very reasonable amount of time to evacuate their family safely if they're homeowners, and also the camps in the area to safely evacuate campers and counselors to mustard stations. And they also will soon alert directors that have these cubes under their beds that will sound an alarm to wake up directors and owners to go assess the situation well before it gets very drastic.
And to your understanding, what is the county and the state doing?
We've been very appreciative of the funding that's now been available by the state and local officials, and but we didn't want to wait, and so
continuing to meet with consultants, with agencies, with persons who could assist at a government level, local, county, state? And tell me about that.
Yes, we've done a flood risk assessment on campus at Cypress Lake, and it proved that all cabins are outside of the 500-year floodplain. We are working with a third-party safety consulting company that is just another layer to make sure our emergency evacuation plan and our training and our drills that we're going to do within 48 hours of the first opening days of camp will be done properly.
With regard to the Cypress Lake camp, ever in the history of Cypress Lake camp have any of the campers been swimming or doing aquatics or anything of that nature in the Guadalupe River?
No.
Where is that done for Cypress Lake?
It's done all at Cypress Lake. They do all their activities, especially swimming at Cypress Lake on Cypress Creek, and we will do that again this summer. We have no plans to go over to Guadalupe River. In years past, my father has taken half of fishing class over to Cypress, far into Cypress Creek, which is a part of Guadalupe River camp to fish, but we will not be doing that this summer.
I want to go back to some questioning early relating to immediately after the July 4th flooding, when you went down into the Guadalupe area camp and you were describing the conditions and all of the things that had occurred and just the physical condition of the site. Did you have an opportunity to go through the site and go to the various cabins? And if you did, tell us about that.
Yes, while we were, before search and rescue came and while we were on our own trying to search inside the cabins, is that what you're referring to?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we went, and when I say we, it was several of our male staff inside different cabins, just getting debris and items out to make sure that there was no one inside these cabins. And so that's what we did.
And was there a time where a little girl was located?
Yes.
And tell us about that.
Yes, one of our workers named Jose came to me as I would think I was at Bowling Cabin. He came over from Twins and told me they had found a little girl in Twins 1.
What'd you do?
I went over there with him and found her, and not knowing what to do, luckily there was a emergency official nearby, and I notified him, and he said he would take over the scene.
And that emergency official taking over the scene, was he county, state? Do you recall?
I don't recall. It was game warden or some type of law enforcement.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have for you right now, Mr. Eastman. I may have some follow-up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Beckler? Turn it down? Yeah. I have it at 97. Sorry. Do you use the listening devices? We'll talk about that later. All right.
May it please the court?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. You're a lawyer, aren't you?
That's correct.
Graduated law school?
That's correct.
Are you licensed
I am.
here in the state of Texas?
Yes.
Practice law?
Yes.
For how long?
Since 2005,
What kind of law did you practice, sir?
criminal law.
Criminal law, right?
That's correct.
You understand, the other day I was asking your brother about the duties under the Texas Penal Code and preserving evidence if you're under criminal investigation. You knew that before I ever asked him, didn't you?
That's correct.
You're no stranger to the rules about evidence preservation, are you?
No,
You're also no stranger to how judges work, are you?
I don't believe so.
Okay. You got a team of lawyers over here. Do you look at the briefs they file?
Yes,
You were here in the courtroom on March 4th, 2026, were you not?
that's correct.
And you were sitting there as a lawyer while I had your brother in that chair right there, weren't you?
That's correct.
And if you recall, the Honorable Judge Gamble stopped my questioning and brought me and Mr. Watts to the bench to have what's called a bench conference, correct?
That's correct.
And you, sir, are very familiar with what bench conferences are, aren't you?
That's correct.
And your lawyers came and met with you after that bench conference and told you that Judge Gamble had asked us to take a break to discuss the continuation of that hearing, correct?
I believe they told me that she had,
Sorry, I asked you a question. Let me say it again. Did they meet with you after that bench conference?
yes,
Okay. Can we show this photograph, Mr. Medina? We'll offer this as plain as 100, Your Honor. This is a photograph that I found online taken by a pool reporter under the order that Judge Gamble had authorized that day. Now, let's look at that photograph. I see the man with his back to us who's right above the ceremonial courtroom icon. That's Mr. Watts, right?
that's correct.
And then the one beside him, that's Mr. Fiveson, right? Your appellate lawyer?
That's correct.
Okay, he's your appellate lawyer, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Wright, by him, he's the one in the glasses. He's your appellate lawyer too, isn't he?
That's correct.
And then I see a man looking with a very stern eye over on the right side of that picture. That's you, isn't it, Mr. Eastland?
You mean on the left?
Well, the left of me, but the right of that picture.
Yes, that's me.
Okay, there's Mrs. Costanza, and there's Mr. Ray, right?
That's correct.
Your lawyer told you that Judge Gamble had made an offer to the attorneys to stop the presentation of evidence that day, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
And she asked if we could reach an agreement by both sides to stop presenting evidence, correct?
Yes,
And you knew that, correct?
yes, I even heard her from the bench.
You even heard it?
Yes, before we went and conferred. Yes, she said that you're not, I think she said something, you're not getting anywhere with this witness. Yeah, you
That's
have
not
no
what she
right
said.
to shut down this tape or something like that.
That's not what she said.
And that's what I recall.
You know that she said, go see if you can reach an agreement to agree to stop presenting testimony. And in fact, you and your attorneys agreed to that, correct?
Will you repeat that?
You know that you and your attorneys agreed to stop the presentation of witnesses based on the comments that Judge Gamble made, correct?
I believe both sides did. We were ready to present evidence as well,
And you agreed not to, correct?
based on what we heard was going to happen, yes.
Yes or no? You agreed to not present any more witnesses, correct?
Yes, because we were happy with the ruling.
Thank you. Then you filed an appeal, correct?
Not on March 4th.
No. You filed an appeal to the Third Court of Appeals, correct?
Yes, after things were drastically changed the next day.
It's not what I asked you. You filed an appeal with the Third Court of Appeals, correct?
I don't remember when that was, but yes, we did.
And in that, did you read it?
I believe I read most of it.
You understand, even if you're a party to a proceeding and not a lawyer, you understand that as lawyers, we have certain ethical duties, right? Right?
I definitely do, and I believe,
You understand you have a duty of candor in all proceedings as a lawyer, true?
yes,
Not only are you under oath, but you have a duty as a lawyer that's different, don't you?
Absolutely.
Sir, you signed off on a brief that Mr. Watts and Mr. Ray and Ms. Costanza and Mr. Wright, Mr. Fifeson all signed off on, and you told the Third Court of Appeals that you were denied due process because this judge stopped the presentation of evidence against your wishes.
I believe.
Didn't you agree to that?
Excuse me, Your Honor, did he ask a question? Let the witness answer the question.
All you have to say is objection.
I believe everything that's happened since October is a lack of due process. I do.
That's not the question I asked you. You filed a brief with the Court of Appeals that you approved these lawyers signing that said this court deprived you of an opportunity to present testimony that day when in fact you know that your attorneys and you agreed to stop producing witnesses that day. True or false?
I believe there was more to it than that.
True or false?
I guess I'm saying false because there's more to it.
Did you agree and let your attorney come into this courtroom and agree to not present any more witnesses that day? True or false?
It was true on March 4th that we agreed to not put any witnesses because we believed that she felt like the TRO hearing was not going, it was getting into the merits of the case.
Thank you. Did you tell your attorneys to tell the Third Court of Appeals what you just put on the record, under oath, as a lawyer?
I let the appellate attorneys review the record and make the appeal.
And you know, as a lawyer and officer of the court, that your attorneys filed a brief in the Third Court of Appeals that left out the material fact that you and your mom and your brother and all the other defendants in this case agreed to stop putting on testimony.
Yes, because it was agreed to that there was no right to stop or to have an injunction, was my understanding.
Okay, so yes, you made a material omission in your brief to the Court of Appeals. That was your answer,
I didn't write the brief, sir.
but you approved it.
Yes, I think Joshua and Tom are very honest attorneys.
But that statement, leaving it out, wasn't honest at all.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think the record's very clear what you said, and I'm not going to give you a chance to go back on it. Now, as a lawyer, you understand, especially as a criminal lawyer, your duties to preserve evidence, right?
That's correct.
Now, you said earlier that you searched the cabins that day, true?
That's correct.
And you just testified as you finished that you were made aware there was a dead baby in one of those cabins, right?
That's correct.
You knew there was more than one dead child by that morning, correct?
Yes.
You knew there was 27 dead or missing children that morning, correct?
No.
You knew there were a lot.
Yes.
You knew this was a mass casualty event involving children, correct?
That's correct.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a criminal lawyer to understand that on July 4th, this was the largest mass casualty event involving children in the history of Kerr County, correct?
Correct.
And as a criminal lawyer, you know that when there are dead children involved, everything changes, right?
I would believe so.
You know that where those children's bodies may be and what the circumstances may be associated with their passing could become a matter of regulatory and criminal investigations, right?
That's correct.
And so you knew as a lawyer that moment that you had a duty to preserve evidence that transcended everything else that you know as a lawyer, right?
Yes.
You didn't have to wait for my friend Mr. Ferguson to send a letter on behalf of that sweet child in Beaumont, Texas. You knew on July 4th what your obligations were, right?
I did, but I was thankful that many officials came to take over.
You knew on July 4th what your obligations were to preserve evidence. True or false?
That's true. We're
Okay.
willing to talk to anybody.
That's right. That moment, sir, you knew as a lawyer under the law that it didn't matter who was on that property. You had to take action to preserve evidence that might be material to all the investigations, including the ones of the Texas Rangers that may come, right?
We were ready to talk to all law enforcement. We are flabbergasted that maybe a criminal investigation is starting 9 months later, but we were ready to cooperate.
Not what I asked you. You knew those investigations may happen, right?
No.
You knew you had a duty to preserve evidence in case they did.
We were told that this was a natural disaster early on, that there was not any kind of criminal investigation.
Not what I asked you. You knew you had a duty to preserve, correct?
Correct, and we did.
Well, that's not true. Let's look at Exhibit 50. Can you show the office, Mr. Medina? While we're looking at that, let me ask you a question. I've heard Christian ministry and Christian camp in this courtroom for 3 or 4 days that we've been in. Y'all said that a lot, right?
Maybe so.
Where's the Bible on honesty?
We're praying that the facts continue to come out.
What does the Bible have to say about being honest? Isn't it one of the 10 commandments that thou shalt not lie?
I believe so.
Okay. We shouldn't lie in court proceedings either, should we?
No.
Let's remember that. Now, this was the office on July 4th, right?
I don't know when those pictures were taken.
Well, does that look like the office before you remodeled it?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at another photograph in Exhibit 50. This was the office in December. That doesn't look the same, does it?
That's correct.
It wasn't just a fix it up and remediate for mold. That's been whitewashed, right?
First Assembly Church of God came out from Kerrville and
Objection non-responsive. I didn't ask you who did it. I asked you if it's been whitewashed.
Sustain.
has it been remediated and put back, tried to put back to the same condition? Yes.
Let's look at the picture before. That doesn't look anything like it. That's not the same condition, is it?
It's not, but many photos were taken just like that, I believe, to preserve evidence for you, Mr. Beckworth.
Where are the water lines in the new building?
Photos were taken before that was done, where you can see the water lines, sir.
Those are new data cables, new electric wires, correct?
Yes,
Everything's changed and everything's cleansed, right?
I believe that is really the only building where a major amount of work was done, but evidence was preserved for plaintiff's attorneys.
A major amount, is that what you said?
I would say it was restored to that capacity, but it's not, we cannot move in, it's not ready yet.
Now, you've said over and over, and so did Mrs. Mary Liz Eastland, that T-Dem came and took over Camp Mystic. Remember that?
That's correct.
And the statements have been that T-Dem was directing this remodeling that happened at Camp Mystic.
But with the office, that's not true.
Okay, so they had nothing to do with the office, right?
That's correct.
That was a decision y'all made.
Months later,
Months later.
plenty of time for attorneys to come out and collect evidence.
Well, let's stop. Whose decision is that? Yours or Judge Gamble's? What's been plenty of time? Whose decision is that?
I can't say for sure, sir.
Okay. Well, we're gonna find out, because we're gonna ask to have this order upheld. You understand that?
I respect whatever direction you want to go, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk about plenty of time for a second. Let's first talk about T-Dem. Mary Liz Eastland testified under oath in this courtroom that T-Dem was directing remodeling and mitigation efforts in your buildings. Do you remember hearing her say that?
No, I don't believe she said remodeling.
Okay, what did she say?
I think remediation.
Okay, so is it your testimony that T-Dem was in control of the volunteer effort?
Correct.
Do you stand by that testimony?
Yes.
Now, if I bring somebody from TDEM in here and says that's not true, in fact, it's categorically false, would TDEM be lying?
I'd be surprised, but Denise Treadwell is a wonderful person. I trust whatever she said.
Okay, so if they say what you're saying is wrong, then we'll go with what they say. Let me withdraw that. I want to get your level of confidence in what you're saying. You're under oath and you're an officer of the court, you're a licensed attorney. Is it true that TDEM was telling volunteers what to do and in control of their decision-making?
Yes, and accompanied by the name of Gotham's, contracted by the governor's office.
So it's Governor Abbott's and TDEM were in control of the decisions that were being made to spoliate evidence. Is that your testimony?
I would not say that. You're putting words in my mouth, sir.
Okay, well, let's use your words. Who was making the decisions about volunteers and a failure to preserve evidence?
Not my family, sir.
No one associated with your family.
We were not directly ordering anything. They might have asked, hey, where should we put these trunks? Where should we put these bags so parents can pick them up? Things like that, but no. And the key areas, the key buildings like Twins 1, Twins 2, Bubble Inn have been secured since day one.
You understand when we talk about the concept of spoliating evidence, you can't turn a blind eye to what's being done to material evidence. You understand that concept?
Yes, sir.
You were the legal officer of the camp, right?
I was the lawyer in the family. Yes, sir.
So that responsibility goes to you as a named defendant in this case, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Let's look at Exhibit 15. There was a notebook that we have in evidence in this case, back out so you can see the whole thing, where volunteers were asked to sign in and there was a list of what they could or couldn't do. Do you remember that?
Yes, we had some wonderful people put that together.
Okay, somebody prepared a Camp Mystic Disaster Response and Recovery release, right?
Yes.
Who prepared that?
It was definitely oversight by TDEM, like I mentioned, but it could have been another volunteer that helped put it together.
Did you review it?
I maybe reviewed it, I may have scanned it. I just had to trust a lot of people.
Well, I'm gonna look at it with you. It says release and waiver, medical treatment, and we go to assumption of the risk. So y'all had volunteers sign a release of liability in case they were injured out there on the evidence field, right?
Yes, it looks like that's the case.
So that was a concern of yours, even back in July when these were signed, was making sure you protected the Eastlands from liability, right?
Yes, that felt like a reasonable thing to do.
It was reasonable to protect yourself from liability, right? Right?
Sure.
Okay, let's go up. 4, insurance. 5, photographic release. 6, property. I agree not to remove any personal property on Camp Mystic. You see that one?
Yes, sir.
Other. I agree this release and waiver is intended to be as broad and inclusive as permitted by local and state laws. It goes on to have an integration clause. I know you know what that means. There was nothing in this document that instructed any volunteer that they might be working in an evidence field, was there, sir?
That's correct. Nothing on this document.
Nothing to tell them to preserve evidence, correct?
Probably it was just told verbally to them.
Probably it was told verbally. By who to whom?
Probably the leadership of TDEM and other leadership that was out there.
You are just making that up, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
You have no knowledge whatsoever of what you just spoke.
No, as I said, from day one, Twins 1 and Twins 2 at Bubble Inn, the key buildings we marked off and no one was allowed to be in there.
You were under oath, stayed under oath. Who said to any volunteer that there was a preservation duty? I want names, locations, and times. Give me one.
Sure,
Give
a
me one.
lot of time has passed, but I think it was done.
By whom to where? To where? When?
Again, some of those government officials, I believe.
Can you name one?
Denise Treadwell.
It's to who?
To who?
Sure.
To Samaritan's Purse.
At what time?
July 29th.
You're just making that up. You're
Well,
just
yeah,
making it up.
Well,
are you
you're
not?
asking me to speculate 9 months have gone by.
I am not asking you to speculate. I asked you to give us one truthful statement under oath. is what, let's be clear, I don't want you to get in trouble, is what you just said something you just made up for sake of argument?
I think the best thing to do is maybe to ask Denise Treadwell, who we subpoenaed to be here on March 4th before you stopped the hearing.
Who stopped the hearing?
I think there was agreement by the attorneys.
And you?
I'm not part of the attorney team, sir.
No, you're not aware of any actual statement that happened on July 29th with anybody, correct? You made that up.
No, I'm just saying there was a time frame that probably during the months since the flood, we had hundreds of volunteers coming out to help, that probably some direction was given in that regard.
Objection, unresponsive.
Same.
I need a clear answer. You made that up. And you are not aware of any such statement that happened on July 29th,
I can't
correct?
say definitively, but I believe that was done.
On that day at that time by those people?
No, in that general time frame.
Okay. You made it up. Now, let's talk about time. We heard a lot of comments between you and Mr. Ray about how long it took for us to get an application filed and Blair Townsend coming out. Do you
That's
remember
correct.
that? Is that your position?
Yes.
And there's talk about wringing hands. You see I'm actually holding something in my hand, right?
It looks like you're holding something, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you understand that when Blair Townsend came out there in September, that she was bringing Seal's father, right?
That's correct.
You actually reached out to them.
Yes, I heard they were interested in coming out from
You
a
un-
mutual friend.
You understand that in September, just like today, they were still trying to find their baby girl,
That's
right?
correct.
You understand that in the aftermath of July 4th to September 11th, like a lot of people, they were just still trying to figure out what had happened, right?
That's correct.
We talked to your brother for multiple days. He still hasn't figured out what happened, right?
Edward's been through a lot, sir. Yeah, he's seen a lot.
He's been through a lot. What I asked you is he still hasn't figured out what happened, correct?
That's a very general statement. You mean what happened over the totality of the camp property that flooded?
Yeah, let me say it a
Sure.
different way. Everybody's still trying to figure out what happened. True?
Sure, no one understands why this happened. Yes, sir.
And no one besides Cece and Will is still looking for their child, correct?
That's correct, except I think Jeff Ramsey in Ingram. Yes, sir.
He's not a child. I said no one is still looking for their child, correct?
That's correct.
Now, there was a lot going on in the day of this event, correct?
Yes,
For example, two of Seal's cabin mates got swept downstream, correct?
correct.
And a good Samaritan, we're gonna talk about ministry, found them in the middle of the morning or middle of the night downstream and brought them into their home, right?
I believe you're talking about the Griffins. Yes, sir.
You know the Griffins well, correct?
That's correct.
And the Griffins texted you at 4:45 or so in the morning that they had found these two babies. You didn't respond, did you?
We had no cell service. I believe when I went up to call 911 at 7:15 or 7:22, that's when that text came in.
In fact, they brought those children back to Camp Mystic and they were turned away, right?
No, Craig, that's not true. Craig Aldhouse worked with them to get them here safely, but the way his property is situated, it was in the end better that they stay with the Griffins, which is they're a great family.
They tried to come back to camp and they were turned away. Craig Altus turned them away, didn't he?
No,
And
that's not what happened.
And in fact, they had to be rescued by somebody else, right?
It was safe for them to stay with the Griffins, but we were trying to get them over to Mystic.
I'm gonna show you something that I just got. There's actually a video.
Your Honor, if it hadn't been previously admitted as an evidence, it's hearsay.
Well, I don't know what it is yet.
And-
There's no jury, so, we've been doing this for 2 days.
I'd like to show it.
I don't know what it is. I can't rule on a piece of evidence I haven't seen.
I'm gonna show it and try to lay a predicate, if I may, and we'll offer it if we can. This is a video, I believe taken by your friend, Mr. Griffin. Play it, please, Mr. Medina, and I'll ask you a question. recognize this property?
I've never been there, but that appears to be on his top bluff above his house. Yes, sir.
Of the Griffin property,
Yes, sir.
which is directly adjacent to the Sky High Trail on your property, correct?
It's nearby, yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever seen this video before?
I have not.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer this time.
Any objections?
It would be Plaintiff's Exhibit 101. Thank you.
Plaintiff's 101 is admitted.
Thank you. You never knew that's how those two girls got evacuated, did you?
I did. I talked to Mr. Griffin. Yes, sir. I just never seen the video.
Now, what actually happened was when your friend Mr. Griffin brought him to Mr. Altus, something to the effect of, "We're in disarray. Don't bring them here," was what was said, correct?
I don't believe that's true.
Your camp was not in any position to even take its own children back in that day, right?
I don't think that's true.
You didn't even know they were gone.
As I said, the text came in sometime after 7, and I thanked Grant for getting them. And I learned shortly thereafter he was trying to coordinate with Craig Allhouse how to get him back to Mystic. Yes, sir.
Y'all were in such disarray that neither you nor Edward or the health officer of that camp even knew those two children were missing, much less already in a helicopter. You didn't know, did you?
It is possible around that time that Mary Liz, after she did the head counts, knew that they were missing. Yes, sir.
You know who those two children were? Or are?
I did at the time. I can't recall their names right now.
You know that one of them was Seal's best friend?
I didn't know that, but
You know her mom was a former camper?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
My wife's surgeon saved my wife's life. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot we don't know, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, when Blair Townsend comes with Will on September 11th and asks to be left alone, did anybody tell you that the reason is that Will wanted to feel the presence of his daughter and try to get a feeling for what the water looked like and what the canyon looked like to see if he could touch base with her and find out where she might have gone?
No one told me that. No.
Yeah. You think they were there as lawyers trying to prove a case? Or you think he was there as a father with his childhood best friend trying to find his baby girl?
Yeah, I believe Will had good intentions. Blair, maybe not so much.
Well, let's talk about that. Because we're here not about Blair, we're here about Will and Cece. Is it your position to this court that they were lacking in diligence in trying to get you to preserve evidence? Because that's really what the question was.
Can you repeat that, sir?
Yes, as a lawyer and a defendant in this case, is it your position that Will and Cece Stewart were lacking in diligence in their efforts to get you to preserve evidence?
Not them. I just believe they're attorneys. Not them at all.
Well, I'm one of the attorneys. You saying that about me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let's talk about that for a second. Now, Mr. Watts is your lawyer, true?
That's true.
Okay, he's member of or was an organization of something called the Texas Trial Lawyers Association. Did you know that?
I believe so.
I'm a member of that. Did you know that?
I did not.
Let me show you what happened on July 8th, 2025. I'm going to read something to you, and I'll see if you've ever seen this before. Mr. Watts went on something called the TTLA listserv, and I'm going to read it to you. Michael Watts, that's this gentleman right here, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the date says July 8th, 2025, 10:45 a.m., correct?
Yes, sir.
It said, TTLA brothers and sisters, I write to encourage our members to show great restraint before pursuing litigation arising from the July 4th floods in Central Texas. First, the juice will likely not be worth the squeeze. Most of the families running these camps have been doing so for generations. They are revered in Kerr County, and you will not find a sympathetic jury pool to anyone suing them. Moreover, you have low insurance limits and charitable immunity caps to deal with. Let me just start right there. Did you know he wrote this?
I did not.
He goes on to say the real culprit here is the lack of an early warning siren alert system. Kirk County lacked the funds to pay for it 7 years ago when it came up on the Commissioner's Court agenda. And the bill in the Texas legislature that would have paid for it was not passed in the most recent legislative session in 2025. See that part?
Yes, sir.
Even if it had been passed, it wouldn't have become law until September 1st, 2025. This makes the presence or absence of a siren system a function of the executive and legislative branches for which there is likely no liability under the discretionary function immunity doctrine. You read all that for the first time today?
That's correct.
Now, you're a lawyer, right?
Yes, sir.
That's a lawyer telling other lawyers not to sue your camp, right?
It appears to be, please conduct a thorough investigation first before jumping to conclusions, and yes.
It's a lawyer saying you got low insurance limits and saying that the government might be at fault, right?
I believe that is somewhat of an elephant in the room in all this.
Well, it's certainly an argument that y'all have tried to make here already, correct?
Not just us, sir.
Well, let's keep it where we are today. You're trying to say, because you just said it, that I, as a lawyer, I heard my name referenced by Mr. Ray a lot, didn't have clean hands in coming to this court to ask it to make you preserve evidence. Is that your position?
I believe a lot of the families are just wanting to find out the truth, and I'm not sure you're doing that to your grieving clients. Yes.
Well,
And I do, yes. I believe you have an ethical duty to pursue the truth. Yes, sir.
thank you for that. And I'll tell you about truth. My partner over here, Mrs. Yarnell, sent me this email, or this listserv email, as soon as it happens. And I'll just tell you, I looked at it. I know Mr. Watts. I trusted him. I'm in the same organization as him. And I thought, you know what? As a lawyer at one of the top law firms in the entire world, who leads that law firm, I thought maybe we should take pause here and think and investigate and be very careful with what we do. I mean, that's what your lawyer asked us to do, right?
I see where you're going with this. Yes, sir.
Okay. So do I have unclean hands for buying his email?
I think it's an interesting thing you're saying on this. No, I think you had other reasons why to do the delay. But that's just my opinion.
Well, you know what? We've talked a lot about Christian ministry. You've heard about the idea of there being a wolf in sheep's clothing, right?
Sure.
Who did that lawyer represent in this proceeding?
I'm sorry?
Who does that lawyer represent in this proceeding?
He represents my family.
That's right. Now,
And I believe he's an ethical, honest man.
didn't say he wasn't, would never suggest otherwise. I just asked who he represents. You, correct?
And we're very thankful for that.
Not what I asked you. He represents you, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, let's go back to Miss Townsend. Do you know who Blair Townsend's father is? Or was?
Yes.
Who was he?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think the stewards. No, I don't know. I know Blair Townsend's brother. I don't know their parents.
Blair Townsend's father was Tommy Townsend. He was one of the head directors or executive director of that same organization for much of his adult life. Did you know that?
I did not.
Mr. Watts disclosed that to you?
No.
Did anyone disclose that Blair lived in Portland, Oregon at the time of this visit?
I found that early on that she lived in Oregon. Yes.
Did they disclose that she was assisting her two childhood best friends to try to find their daughter?
No, I didn't. I learned right before September 9th.
And when you're going to make accusations about me as a lawyer, do you have any idea when I was first contacted by this family?
No, sir.
Shouldn't you find that out before you make those accusations?
I'm not sure, sir.
Okay, well, you're a lawyer, and you know saying false things about people under oath isn't really a good idea, right?
That's correct.
Okay. You might want to get the facts right before you accuse people in lawsuits. True?
True.
Okay, so that goes both ways. So as lawyers, I got contacted, say, in November 2025, and I wanted to figure out what was happening. I might contact none other than Michael Watts. Has he ever showed you my text messages to him and about our phone calls about this case?
We've seen some from the March 4th hearing, but no, I haven't seen many.
He can tell you that I called him and said I need to go out there and look at the site. Did he tell you I did that?
That you went out?
Yes,
That you came out?
that's correct.
I just know you've come out in December, sir. That's it.
Came out twice. Me and Christina Yarnell came out twice, right?
I believe so, yes, sir.
We were investigating this vast evidence field. Do you understand that?
It was a natural disaster. You were calling it.
Objection, non-responsive.
You're all, okay.
You understand we were investigating a scene, correct?
In December, yes, sir. I'm not sure where you went, but I believe you went to the commissary in the office. Yes, sir.
When I got there with Christina Yarnell in December for the first time, had these material alterations already occurred?
The remediations, yes, sir.
And the remodeling of the office?
By the church in Kerrville, the restoration of it?
Yes.
I guess so, yes, sir.
Had the rec hall already been cleaned?
I don't know to what level, but I believe some volunteers have gone in there.
And when I came back in December, you've seen the photographs. Those photographs of the guys with miter saws outside your building and the concrete being poured on the land bridge that was heavily damaged in the flood, I took those, right?
You did take some pictures, but we have some that we'd be happy to share with you as well.
So in the 30 days from when I first contacted Mr. Watts, and I went out twice to look at it to decide what we should do in filing a petition in this case, y'all were still materially altering the evidence field, right?
No, I don't believe that's the
You were
case.
materially altering the evidence field despite Mr. Ferguson's letter, right?
That's not true, sir.
You were materially altering the evidence field despite the fact that you're a criminal lawyer and you know the Texas Penal Code doesn't allow you to do any of that, right?
That's not true, sir.
Has anyone advised you that it is a crime to materially alter evidence that's the subject of a criminal investigation?
They haven't had to, I understand that. That's the law, sir.
And you've known that since the minute you woke up at 1:45 a.m. to your dad's distress call on that walkie-talkie, right?
That's not true. A lot of things happened after the flood that made it very hazy. But yes, but I do understand that area of the penal code, yes, sir.
Okay, let me conclude with this because I know we're time of 5 o'clock. You testified earlier that in the moments after this happened, I think the words you used were y'all were all a mess, correct?
I may have used those words, yes, sir.
You've been through a lot of trauma, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Ray told me after March 4th that your brother has PTSD. Is that true?
If he said that to you, I don't know what he said to you, sir.
Okay.
But he's been through a lot.
You all have, right? Right?
I haven't been to the same level of trauma that Glenn and Edward and my dad went through, going through the danger.
Mary Liz has been through trauma?
Yes.
Your mom lost her husband, you lost a father, right?
Again, not to the same level that Edward and Glenn, what they did during the storm. But yes, we've been through a lot.
And 27 children died under your care. True?
True.
That's a heavy weight to bear, is it not?
It is.
You're all still dealing with that, right?
Yes.
You talked about the healing process. You're bringing 850 children back to that camp. You say to help them heal, correct?
That is one reason. Yes, sir.
Are they healed?
Are the kids healed?
Yes.
You have to ask their parents that, sir.
Well, you're going to bring them to this camp that is a graveyard for the souls of 27 babies and your father, who many of them knew. Are you prepared for what's going to happen the first time it rains?
I think you're misrepresenting. There's two different campuses, sir.
You're bringing girls from the Guadalupe River camp back as well, correct? Yes or no?
At the request of their parents, yes, sir.
At your solicitation,
That is not true. We have not solicited anybody.
you sent letters to them over and over again, correct?
Not soliciting. Just
Your
letting them know
mother, sorry?
that just letting them know that we, in September, we're considering having camp at Campus 6 Cypress Lake.
Your mother sent copied, handwritten letters personally to the 8-year-old child that was on that helicopter, addressed to her without telling her parents, and sent it to her house after this flood, and talked about her friends being in heaven with your dad. Did you know that?
I believe I knew she was reaching out in good faith to a lot of campers
Did any mental health counselor tell her to do that?
to provide love and healing to a lot of campers she cares about.
Did a mental health counselor tell her that was okay?
No, but we're gonna have one on staff this summer, sir.
And what are you gonna do when those children from the Guadalupe River side are there the first time it thunders and lightnings? What are you gonna do?
We're gonna be prepared.
What are you gonna do if one of them's swimming in the water and sees something that makes them panic? What are you gonna do?
We're gonna be prepared. We've been talking with a lot of professionals.
And what are you gonna do if your brother is sitting there, the health officer of the camp, who just admitted under oath that she abandoned Seal Stewart? What are you gonna do when there's an emergency involving an 8-year-old girl if they can't rise to the moment?
I don't believe she said that, sir.
Well, the record will speak for itself, won't it?
It will.
I asked you a question. What are you gonna do if an emergency rises and someone named Eastland is called into action just like they should have been or were on July 4th, and they can't rise to the moment?
We're gonna be ready. We've gone above and beyond the regulations. We're gonna be ready, sir.
We gotta take your word for it, right?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
All right, it's 5 o'clock, so we will stop for the day. Mr. Eastland, well, do you know now if you will do a redirect? You wanna decide tomorrow?
Yeah, let's decide.
Okay, then we'll get here in the morning. If your attorney wants to do a redirect, he'll be back on the stand. If he doesn't, you won't, so we'll find out in the morning. We will see everybody at 9 a.m.
Time-wise, Judge, what's?
Oh, sure, let me do the math. That's consent. We can go off the record. We've used 3 hours and 44 minutes. And they've used
Completed.
7, I'm sorry?
Have they completed?
They have not, they still have time. We've used 7:29. It's
7:29.
20:20.
All right.
Do we do better today?
Oh, sorry. Were you, did you say does, or did I
Yes, ma'am, I
mishear
did.
that? You did?
I'm sorry,
I don't wanna, people can leave. I don't wanna, embarrass anyone, but we're not having any more off the record
I
conversations.
don't want any off the record conversations.
Then I just went off the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
We'll
are
do
you
it
asking me to go back on the record?
I am, thank you.
Can we go back on the record? People can sit down or leave, I don't care.
Thank you for that.
All right, so what is it?
My question is, if there's 3.5 hours left, basically, where we are?
The math I did, I came up with 8 hours per side.
Oh, okay, so 8 hours per
Yeah,
side.
it was 5 and then 11 is 16 divided by 2. That's what I came up with.
Okay, thank you, I thought you said 15, but that's
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
You bet. That's it?
Yes, ma'am, that was it.
We're off the record. See everyone tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks for your help, Damon.
I'll tell you also. basically just assisted listening, so it might help with someone's kind of quiet. Yeah, they're just gonna be right over by that microphone.